Hello and welcome to your astrological vibrations for Saturday, August 12th, 2017 by Gaia Blooming. I am Mimi and our energy mantra for today is I nurture this moment by focusing on joy. And I want to give a shout out to all my August 12th Leos. Out of all of the time in Leo, this is when I seem to know the most Leos, and happy birthday to all of you. I love you all. My moon happens to fall right around this time. I'm a 19-degree Leo moon, and so August 11th, August 12th, that's where my moon hits, and I know an abundance of you guys, and I love you. You are all very supportive in my life. So thank you. Starting with a shout out, focusing on that joy, the joy that nurtures my soul, my best friends. But we have Mercury going retrograde today, and I think I have some good messages to help us through this retrograde period. Nothing to get crazy about. Mercury retrograde happens 3 times a year, and we spend between the shadow of retrograde and the actual time of retrograde, we actually spend a good deal of time working with and through this energy. Now, overall, if it can be avoided, I say avoid buying a car or a computer or, anything like that. Sometimes it can't be avoided. If so, do it with your eyes wide open, paying attention to the details of what's going on. But overall, to me, this focus from now through September 5th is listening to the details, paying attention to the details of our body. Virgo brings in the energy of daily reality, what's going on in your physical reality. And this is our physical daily reality interpreting machine. So paying attention to the details of your body will only support you in and through this and bring you the energies of renewal and remembrance and all the other words that are not coming to my head because, hey, we're almost in retrograde and that's what happens. Words sometimes get thrown out the window. That's another thing to pay attention to during retrograde. So again, over these next 3 weeks, three and a half weeks, is words, communication. Sometimes it just goes crazy. Sometimes people will misunderstand what you're saying. You may misunderstand what they're saying. One of my favorite things to say during retrograde time is putting everything through the 3 gates. Is it kind? Is it true? Is it necessary? I always add in the details too because sometimes I get messages that are kind and true and necessary, but they're kind, true, and necessary for me and not necessarily kind, true, and necessary to share with somebody else. So I always ask, is this for me or is this for somebody else? And I really listen to that, and that helps keep my communications in check. But, just be aware that there may be miscommunications. I discovered today that an email that I thought I had sent out did not get sent out and confused me and put things on my schedule that didn't end up happening. This happens during retrograde time. Take it with a grain of salt. This is the strong message that came through. Paying attention to details, yes. Getting hung up on perfection, no. This is a great time to remember that we are human, and therefore we deal with things that are not always as we would think of as ideal. I like to remember that everything is always working out for us, but don't get hung up on the perfection. Rather, be here now. And as you're being here now, bring that lesson that we've been focusing on, the lesson of joy, to this moment. It is always possible to reach and pull joy into this moment. I love the 3 questions the Spirit gave me. What's the joy? What's the good? What's the lesson? So if you are struggling with something during this time, don't get so fixated, because Virgo can be very fixated and focused. Don't get fixated and focused on the imperfection, but rather be here now, be in this moment. Okay, what's the good in this moment? What's the joy? How do I bring more joy into this moment? And how can I work with this? And go within to work with this. Because with Mercury going retrograde, until Saturn goes direct in about exactly almost 2 weeks, we have 6 energies retrograde. We have Mercury, Uranus, Saturn, Neptune, Chiron, and Pluto retrograde. So that is strong retrograde energy. And like I said, retrograde just means it's a pull within. It is a call for us to go within for the answers, and you have the answers here. And if you are focused on the details, if you're focused on listening to your body, those answers will come a little bit more easily for you. So that being said, Last thing I want to say actually with that is this retrograde is starting at 11 degrees in Virgo, which is a healing degree, and it's moving back to 28 degrees Leo, which is where we're having the solar eclipse at come August 21st. So this is actually a really strong energy that's happening here. And we keep getting pulled to this 28 degree thing. But to me, being that we begin this at 11 degrees, this has a healing focus. The universe is bringing us from healing. And this may be bringing us some healing through some reflections, through some mirrors outside of us over these next couple weeks. So really pay attention to the details that are also going on outside of you. If you can't get the answer within, then chances are there's something going on outside that's bringing you something that you can see. And, you know, you don't have to take it all literal. It doesn't have to be an exact mirror. Listen to what the universe is saying. This is important. It will talk to you during this time, especially if you are paying attention and not busy getting hung up on the shoulds. It should be this way, or if it was perfect, it would be this way. So that being said, we are finishing up kind of the moon in Aries today. It's actually finishing up technically tomorrow. But this moon in Aries is actually bringing on a grand trine in fire. And I actually have with my Osho cards, I have fire cards and major arcana cards. I have source, that's major arcana. This is major arcana, these two. Then I have the suppression, and then I have the playfulness energy. And I feel like, you know, with this energy and with the eclipse corridor that we're going through, you know, this may not be necessarily how we're feeling. The playfulness, we may not necessarily be in the play. We may be feeling the push and the pull of the energies. We have to remember today is 19 degrees to 20 degrees. So 19 degrees, that's a 10. That's 10 energy. 10 energy is knowing your worth. Know the worth of yourself. 20 degrees energy, that's 2 energy, and 2 energy is nurturing. You have to show up and nurture yourself so that you can find yourself back in the play, so you can get yourself back into your source energy and let go of the burdens. What are these burdens that you're carrying? Some of these burdens may be related to this push and pull that's going on as we're in this eclipse energy. You don't have to push the river. I feel like its message keeps coming through. You don't have to push the river. If you are feeling the push and pull, you are resisting the rate at which the universe is bringing you the blessings. You are not focused on the play. You are not focused on the moment. So if you're feeling that, stop that. Get out of that. Nurture this moment by focusing on the joy in this moment. Now, this grand trine and fire energy may kick that up. So we have the moon in Aries, connecting to the sun in Leo and to Saturn in Sagittarius. And Saturn, as it's finishing up its retrograde process, is being like, what are these beliefs? And maybe this belief is like, what is this belief that you're holding that it has to be now? Drop that, put that down. It does not have to be now. It has to be in divine timing. So if you're feeling that, get out of the future, get out of the past, get into this now moment. Show up in this now moment. Saturn is at 21 degrees. That is the expansion of this now moment. And we're going to have the sun dancing with Saturn tomorrow, is it? Yeah. Makes sense that it would be tomorrow, but you never know where the degrees are at. So tomorrow, Saturn and the sun are going to be dancing. And so, you know, get into this now moment to expand. It will take you back into the source. It will bring you back into this playfulness, and it will help you release these burdens that you are carrying. This is also a great opportunity to enhance your creativity. So if you are distracted by things that you're wanting to push the river around, well, instead, direct that kind of energy that's rising in you, direct it into your art, direct it into nurturing yourself, direct it into your inner child. How can you show up in and for those energies now? The moon is meeting up with Mars today, early in the day. So, you know, sometimes you wake up, you're so full of life, and you're like full of energy. You're like, yeah, things are going to happen. And the universe is like, yep, things are happening. And you're like, yeah, things are going to happen. Yep, it's all happening. And then as you go through the day, you're like, nothing's happening. I thought today was going to be a good day. Nothing's happening. Don't get stuck in that pattern of thinking. But that could definitely be a thing today. That is just illusion and judgment. Don't get caught up in that. Instead, be here now. Your growth is now in this moment. I'm sorry. I know it's annoying, but that's what's coming up. I also want to point out with this card, the green and gold. And we'll get into that in just a minute, but I just want to point that out because I was like, oh, how interesting. We have a few tougher things today. The moon in Aries is activating a bit of T-square energy, and this also may be where some of that resistance is. The T-square, it's like the leaders, the cardinal signs that are, you know, just want to get a move on. It's like, it reminds me of my dad trying to get us, like when we would go on vacation, get us out of the house. Herding my mom, it's easier to herd cats than it is to, you know, move my mom along. And it reminds me, choking, it reminds me of how he would get so impatient trying to get us out instead of just relaxing. All right, well, she'll move when she wants to move. This kind of energy, this T-square with the moon in Aries squaring Pluto and opposing, the moon is opposing Jupiter. And remember, we just had that Jupiter-Pluto square. You know, it's the same message. It keeps coming up over and over. You can't push the river. Everything in divine timing. The moon square Pluto, there is transformation going on. The moon opposite Jupiter. Your best bet is nurturing yourself. That is the best thing that's going to move these things along. I nurture this moment by focusing on my joy. Where's your joy at right now? If you are not feeling like, wee, joyful, then you have work to do. And you don't have to worry about pushing the river because there's work for you to do. Now, I love this because I think this is probably the most supportive message that you're going to get from the 13 moon. Remember I said green and gold. Here we have green and gold. Sovereignty, the frequency of emerald green. Self-nurturance, the first word. Oh my God. Sanctuary, renewal, peace, balance, sustenance, abundance. I feel like I missed a word, but I guess I didn't. And I'm feeling harmony. Harmony with this. Okay. In sovereignty, there's a feeling of inner completion, of not needing anything outside of the self to feel whole. So you don't need to push the river because all you need is right here and right now. Draw in this frequency that honors the power of your divine inheritance as a sovereign being. Receiving this green and gold frequency in your reading, the green and gold, look at that. I was like, yes, is a call for self-nurturance. Regeneration, there's a re-word. Renewal, working with this retrograde. And I love this little visual that they give. Imagine being in the peaceful sanctuary of a mountain forest at sunset with the refreshing smell of pine filling your senses. Filling your senses. See, we have these little Mercury issues going on. Filling your senses, not your sentences, your senses. Now notice on the tops of the tree the golden, loving embrace of the setting sun. Receiving this powerful combination of earthy green and solar gold in your reading can be seen as an alchemical blessing for your conscious union within yourself. Receiving this card is a reminder to go into nature, nurture yourselves, psyche, and spirit with the balancing power of Gaian green and solar gold. You know, that's another thing with Mercury retrograde in Virgo. Virgo is an earth sign. Connecting to the earth will only support you through this energy and will only support the vibrance and vitality of your cells and will only help get you into joy. If you ever talk to a tree, a lot of times trees, animals, those things out there that when you talk to them, flowers, they're very joyful and they have joyful energy to share with you. Together, these frequencies of green and gold represent graceful sustenance and abundance. Consider surrounding yourself in their opulent embrace. So, we are being supported by and through this green and gold energy to help us get into this retrograde, realize that all of this retrograde energy can't push the river. Things are moving at the speed that they're meant to. We are in this eclipse corridor. A lot of transformation is going on, and the best thing that we can do in this moment is nurture ourselves and keep aiming towards that joy, and that will get us through this with as much grace as possible. So, that is it for today. Book a reading if you want to dive deeper into your personal chart, and I will see you tomorrow. Namaste.